So I thought it was finally time to tell you guys about my current group. Um, my current group is one that I've been running with for about a year, and we've been playing D&D 3.5 with modifications as needed. But the group consists of basically a bunch of people that I found online on Funny Junk. Funny Junk is a website I spend a lot of time on. I'm going to be posting it on there, so most of the people who are going to see this are going to see it on Funny Junk probably. But the people that basically what I did, there was a bunch of posts saying how, oh, I want to play D&D, or oh, I don't know how to get into this game. And there was just a bunch of people talking about different things that were awesome about the game, and then there was this little group of people who were like, oh, I wish I could play, I don't have any friends, or something along those lines, or they just didn't know how to get into it. So I went on and said, hey, if there's anyone who is looking for a game, preferably new people, I'm kind of a new DM, and I wanted to get a bunch of people together and just play a game. And I'm open to any suggestion. Anything you guys want to play, we can play it. And they came together, and we decided that we're just going to play a simple 3.5 game, in which I basically just rehashed my story from my first campaign. But to start, I'm going to tell you about the characters, and these are my three main characters, and from here on out, a lot of the stories are going to be kind of around these players. I will talk about other things, but these players, this game is my biggest and longest, so most of my stories will involve that. And to start off, let's talk about the characters. The first player, who is the only person who is still playing his original character for various reasons, and not necessarily his original character, but he is the only person whose character is from Night 1, Session 1. Everyone else is either a different character, or just didn't show up on the first night. And that's Fuzz. Fuzz plays Arbogast, the Leonin monk. Basically, he is I was going to say 6 foot. That's not tall enough. He's an 8 foot tall lion man monk. So it's kind of interesting. As the story progressed, he's basically just this hulking behemoth. He's the person Arbogasting his way through doors. The next character, who I mentioned as well before, is Vea. She plays Luna, the human scion. She's the person who's a little tricky to deal with. She's the person who is, oh, I'm going to hit this button and kill everyone. And the first story is not going to involve Luna at all. It's going to involve her other character, who I believe was named Lydia Cindersnow, or something along those lines. And she was a human barbarian. The story with that is, when we started the game, I had to do personal stuff. My girlfriend came up for Christmas, and she wanted my attention. And it was Christmas time, so family stuff. So we didn't play for 3 weeks. But the players still wanted to play something. So Vea went off and she found another game, and her character died. But it was a character that she had grown really attached within those 3 weeks. So she didn't really feel anything for the other character, the barbarian, but she really liked the scion. So I allowed her to just kind of wipe the barbarian off the board, and now we're gonna play the scion. This is your new character. The final of the main three is Paco, and he plays Leonin of Hyde, the human paladin. And this is one of the characters that I can do the most with. I do a little bit of stuff with Vea's character, but a lot of my stuff is kind of working on how to make this paladin fall. Or that's some of the things I throw in there, is because he isn't your typical paladin in the sense that he's willing to kill people. He does it all the time. He has no problem with it. And if there is evil, he'll kill it. But at the same time, if someone surrenders to him, if something is just, no, that's not right, this is morally wrong, he won't do it. It's more of, he doesn't look at things as black and white, so to speak. I've heard of some paladins who are just complete douchebags. This is right, this is wrong. He has a little gray area, but he will err on the side of light most of the time. But he doesn't have a very. He will cuss you out. He will not be paladin if you annoy him enough. So the first session, as I said, it started off exactly like my first game. The characters are in the bar, and at first it is Arbogast, Lydia at the time, who is Vea's old character, and it wasn't Paco, I think Fear. We had another player who started out with us, whose character's name was Fear Alok, I believe. Yeah. And he had personal issues, so he only lasted a few sessions. But basically, it was these three guys in a bar. And I'm like, okay, so it's 3 guys compared to my original 4. The bartender's going to wipe the floor with them. So the story, for those that don't know, is a bunch of racist people come in, find the only thing who was different, the only effectively thing or person who was different, which in this case was a lion. They go up to the lion, like, hey, we don't like your kind here. And this starts off a chain of me not quite understanding how big this guy is. This is an 8-foot tall, 400 or 500 pound lion man monk. It's a level 1 monk, but it's still a monk. His fist is the equivalent of a club, and it can kill you. So they go up and they decide, we're going to mouth off to the biggest fucker in the room and think this is going to go great. It didn't. So they start the fight. He was just on, just leave me alone, let me drink. So they start the fight. They attack him. He takes his mug and he smashes it into their head, and eventually the bartender joins, starts attacking them again. He kills a man with the stool he was sitting on, the bench he was sitting on, the lion man was, which also started the trend of he will throw anything as a weapon. Now, in D&D there's improvised weapons, and I don't know if there's thrown weapons. I think those just fall under improvised. But he did well enough on his rolls that he beat someone to death with a stool. No, it was a bench, not a bar stool. Sorry. And then he roared someone to death. His class. Now, the character race you will not find in a book. It is a homebrew race, as far as I know. And the reason I allowed it is, first and foremost, it had a 2-level advancement. So basically, his character was effectively level 3 in terms of experience, but he was still a level 1 character, or experience gained. He'd be considered a level 3. As well as he took such a massive penalty to charisma. I think it was -6. He currently has a 3 charisma, which makes no sense as to how the story has gone, where he has become a king and he is married. So those are stories for another time, but he's had an interesting life with 3 charisma. Lots of luck involved there. Excuse me. So the bar fight happens, and the barbarian joins. Of course, the barbarian joins, as well as a cleric. So first and foremost, I didn't anticipate a cleric because of the healing, because we didn't have that in my first group. Add on the barbarian and a string of really bad luck. So the bartender, it's basically come down to a fight between the bartender, who was, I think, a level 4 character, against 3 level 1 characters. I don't believe these guys should have stood a chance, because the way I understand it is level 4 is a challenge rating of 3. And level 1, you're effectively around level 1. But I'm not good at building encounters, which is one of my ultimate flaws. So they have this fight, and it's come down to the bartender and a cleric, the monk, and the barbarian. So the bartender has an ability where anything is a weapon. Or, not quite anything. But he has an improved improvised weapon. Basically, you can use anything as a weapon. And he takes up a bar stool, and he goes to swing it over the barbarian, and he rolls a 1. So I'm like, okay, he breaks the bar stool on your back. And you just kind of sit there glaring at him. Which doesn't work for Luna because the person behind it doesn't work for Vea. Because the person behind, currently a barbarian woman, is, I think, maybe 5'1", I think she said. So it's kind of odd to roleplay that kind of character if you have no experience roleplaying and you're not that person. But so he crashes the bar stool across her back, and she's and then she hits him and does a massive amount of damage. And he picks up another bar stool, and the monk punches him for a bunch of damage. And he swings his bar stool. I think he just missed the first time. But then he rolled another one. I think this was like a 6-turn combat that resulted in 3 nat 1s for the bad guy. And it's just one of those situations where the DM is just sitting there like, you were supposed to lose this fight, and then he couldn't hit you to save his life. As well as, I didn't expect you to have a fucking healer. I mean, I saw the characters beforehand, but I've never experienced a healer in D&D. So, the journey goes on. I'm supposed to salvage this fight where they were supposed to be knocked out, thrown in a cave, and fight their way out. And I didn't have a plan for it that night. So, I moved it on to the next night. And what I did from there is I basically gave them some excuse where they get down in this hole and they find a trapdoor, is what they did. They find this trapdoor and they pop it open, they go downstairs, and the moment they get downstairs, they hear a knocking on these doors. And they open it up, and who would they find but Leoden of Hyde? I basically made an excuse that because this was the next night, the first night only 3 people showed up when we had 5 people who were supposed to be in the group. But the next night they all showed up. So we started on Friday, and no one showed up. And then we played Saturday. I think it was either Sunday or Monday or something like that. But basically we did 2 days. And the next day, everyone showed up. So they go downstairs, and Leoden is stashed in a cupboard along with, basically a cupboard. He was stashed in a closet, along with Kane, who was a rogue. And this is one of my more longer-term side characters. I'm sorry for all the guys who watch this and know of themselves as being in this campaign, but not being in for long. You guys kind of became side characters. So he was one of my longer term side players, I guess. Kane didn't last far past this this adventure. But that's the introduction, and I think I'm going to stop it there for today. At least for this video. I think I'm going to start making shorter videos so that you don't just look at it and like, oh god, that's an hour worth of watching this jackass ramble on. I can't take that much of him. I'm not going to make the joke I'm going to make. So, until next time, guys, which might honestly be a couple hours after this, go play a good game. Go online. Go to Funny Junk. Give admin some love. Give me some love. Game on, guys.